Lights, camera, action! Let's start the show. Here's a little bit of wedding advice from me to help your love story unfold. Hey, everybody, welcome back to YouTube. This morning, we are going to be talking about something pretty important when it comes to your wedding. So, if you have any questions, I have put a question in the chat if you want to participate in the chat. You are welcome to do that. And I will be monitoring the chat. As you guys know, I will be checking to see if anybody had any questions along the way. All right, so it looks like we are ready to start. We're ready to begin today's show. We are in season 2, episode 16 of your wedding series. And this is going to be a Q&A for your wedding vendor shopping. I got it out. I got it out. Your venue shopping. So when you go to these wedding venues, you're going to shop around. You're going to look around to see if it's the right fit for you. And this is because you either don't have a church that you're already attending, or you don't want to get married at that church for whatever reasons. It could be, it wasn't the vision that you had for the day that you get married. It's, maybe you just, for whatever reason, they don't have your date. Whatever it is, you decided you're not going to be getting married in a church, right? Maybe you just don't go to church. That could be you too. So it's going to depend on what's going on in your life. The next thing is you decided you didn't want to get married at a courthouse. You were like, no, we want something a little bit more than just that. Okay. These are both the actual traditional ways of having a wedding. Okay. So, of getting married, I should say, of getting married. So, if you don't want to do those things, you've now opted to go venue shopping. You see those venues on the side of the road, you're driving by, you're like, you know what, this is what I really want to do. Or maybe you've decided to even go the city route, which is contacting the city and seeing if you can use like a park or some kind of like lookout space or anything like that. This is not going to be who I'm talking about in this episode. This is specifically venue shopping, my venue shoppers who are looking for somewhere to get married that doesn't have to do with those three things I just mentioned. It doesn't have to do with the church, it doesn't have to do with courthouse, it doesn't have to do with the city, like a park and all that stuff, and getting a permit or whatever you have to do. So we're talking about venue shopping. And there are some questions that you really, really need to make sure that you ask and get some answers that are important to you. Everybody is different. Not everyone is going to be for the same answers as somebody else. I know that when we went venue shopping, I have an entire like story on that, and I feel like there were more questions that we should have asked. And so that's why I've put this together for you so that you can remember to ask these questions. It's going to help you. It's going to help you a lot. Now, if there are some questions that you had when you went wedding venue shopping, or ones that you are hoping to ask whenever you go venue shopping, I would love for you to put those today in the comments, because I would love to hear what those are. You can also send me an email later if you would like, and we can discuss more. And I'll be sharing my email address at the end of today's podcast. But without further ado, we're going to jump into our notes and we're going to get started, because I've got some good questions for you, okay, to ask them. And don't be afraid to ask them. This is your wedding day. And if you don't ask these questions ahead of time before giving the deposit, guess what? It's going to be too late, okay, because you already gave that deposit. So let's get started with our initial questions. Have some steps that are important to do before we get it down to venue shopping. So we're going to quickly go over 2 important steps. We're going to go over them quickly, you guys. Don't worry. But these are going to be 2 important steps that you don't want to forget or miss prior to going venue shopping. Using to make sure that you're staying organized. Don't forget, we have a video about staying organized that we did all the way in the beginning of season 2, your engagement era. So step 1 is that you need to do some venue research. You need to be looking around online. You need to be just kind of looking at places as you're driving by. Ooh, that looks nice. Do some research. Narrow this thing down before you just get in the vehicle and you just start looking at venues in person. Okay, so do some research first. Do some research. How you can do that? You can look at websites online. You can look at their social media. You can look at their Google Maps. Now, the next thing you want to look at are reviews. You can see reviews on Google Maps, which is amazing. Google is such a great tool for us. So you can go ahead and look at reviews on there. I like to start with the 1-star reviews because I feel like they are the most honest. I don't feel like anybody is paying anybody to write, 1-star reviews. So I like to look at 1-star and then I look at 2-star. And then I'll workshop my way from there. Sometimes I'll jump to 5 and then 4 and then 3, or sometimes I go 3, 4, and 5. Just depends on how I'm feeling with the reviews I've read so far. If it's a lot of 1-star reviews, I kind of like to move on, or at least ask some people their opinion, okay? Which is my next part of this step 1, which is asking for referrals. You may have people who've already gotten married in your life, who friends, family members, coworkers who've already gotten married. Ask them about their venue and what they really thought about it. Not just, oh, it was fun, da 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 da. No. You want some juicy details. You want them to tell you oh, this coordinator was amazing. Or, you know what? I wouldn't go with them. It looks really, really great, but it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And let me tell you why. So you want to get the real skimmy on some of these venues before you even go shopping. Okay. Before you even go shopping, you need to do some research. Okay. Do some research. The next step is step 2, which we're only going to talk about 2 steps before we get into our venue questions. And that is set up appointments. Set up some appointments before you go, because a lot of venues will probably not just let you just walk in. I mean, there might be some, but you want to do your due diligence and set up some appointments so that you're not hurt when you get there and they can't really see you today. Okay. So you don't want that to happen. Now, these first venue shopping questions, when you go on your venue shopping tour, let's go. Get your notebook, get your pen, and grab your purse. You're not going to need your checkbook today, though, because you should not be getting your venue on the first day. We're just shopping. We're just looking. Unless you really have done a ton of research, you've gotten those referrals, you've gotten those reviews, and you've probably even seen this place before at a different wedding that you've already went to, and you're like, you know what? Nope, that's the one. We just need to make sure they have our date, and we're booking it. Okay, then that's fine. Bring your book. Bring your money. Okay, so bring your coins. So let's go venue shopping. These first initial questions, there's about 10 of them. You can actually ask them if you want prior to going anywhere. If you want to do this, you can call them on the phone, and you could call them and see if they answer the phone. That would be great if they've got these business hours. A lot of people are working from home now, so you just never know. But maybe they've got these business hours and they can actually answer the phone and answer some of these questions before you even go. So it's just about 10 of them that you want to ask. First of all, is our date available, and can we hold our date, and how much would it be if we held our date? If you ask them what's their holding fee. Number 2, what if we change our mind? Can we get our deposit back? Number 3, what is the basic cost breakdown for everything that I'm going to be getting? What's the basic? Can you just give me some basic numbers over the phone right now? Some of them are probably going to say no because they want to get you there. They want your emotions going. They want you visualizing the day. And so they want you to lock yourself into something way too soon. And that's why we want to go over these questions prior to getting there if we can. Okay, if we can. Number 4, security and wedding crashers. Who is responsible for this? So ask them, do you have any form of like wedding security, or who is in charge of taking care of like if somebody has crashed my wedding? Do we need to go up and tell them something as the bride and groom, or do you have someone on staff who is the heavy? You guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. So you need to ask that question because wedding crashers is a real thing. It's a real thing. Number 5, is the capacity the same for the ceremony and the reception? So what I'm talking about here, is it the same? So like a lot of times people will use the same ceremony space and then they'll flip it into the reception space. So you just want to ask about those numbers. How many people can they hold? Okay. And sometimes, you will have a dedicated ceremony area and then a reception area, and then those numbers will be different about how much they can hold. You just want to know. Just want to know. And this is a good question to ask before you go, because let's say you're going to have a wedding of 300 to 400 people and they can only seat 75 people. You may not you may not want to head out for venue shopping if that's the case. All right. And remember, we did an episode where we talked about how many people are you inviting to your wedding, that rough draft. You want to bring that with you. You want to bring those numbers with you. That's why you're asking about capacity as well, because you're going to have those numbers ready. You have an idea of how many people you're going to be inviting. The next thing is, can I have the contact for the appointed wedding planner and day of coordinator? If they're going to require you, and we're going to talk more about that later, but if they're going to require you to have their wedding planner or their day of coordinator, because a lot of venues are now making people do this, then you need to ask them, can I have their information? I need their phone number, which is their cell phone, not just the office number that goes to everybody. And I also need their email address, their personal email address for the company, not just a blanket email address that's for the venue. There's a difference. There's a difference. Okay. Guys, trust me, that's an important question, because if you can't get a hold of them during the, if you can't get a hold of them during your engagement era and you've already given them your deposit, it's a serious issue. It's a serious issue because it will leave you stressful and awake at night. You don't want that. How will the handover happen if there's a different day of coordinator than there is the wedding planner? So sometimes you'll go in and you'll meet one person and they'll help you plan your entire wedding. And then you'll get there on the day of the wedding and it's a whole different person. But yet they didn't tell you. They're like, yeah, we can't wait till your day. Da, da, da. They take your money, right? But it's not the same person that you talk to the whole time. What is that? What is that about? So you need to ask them, hey, how is that going to happen? Is this day of coordinator person going to learn everything that you and I have been talking about? And how? How are they going to do that? You know what I mean? How are they going to get to know me when I've never met them? And then here we are on the day of my wedding and they're introducing themselves for the first time. I have a rapport with you. I'm not comfortable with this person. So ask this question because you need to know who all are the players are going to be involved if you have to be forced into going into their wedding, using their wedding planner and their day of coordinator. Number 9, how long have both of you been at this venue? So both the wedding planner and the day of coordinator. And what you're trying to do when you ask this question is you're trying to see, is this their lifelong dream, being a wedding planner and day of coordinator? You know what I mean? Because once you ask that question, they'll be like, well, I've only been here for 6 months or a year, but prior to this, I was at this place, or I was working on my own, or whatever it is. Okay. So they'll get to talking. You're listening to just hear them give their story on how long have they been, you know, in this position at this specific venue. The other thing that you're looking at is how long does this planner or wedding day of coordinator stick around? Okay. It seems to be a very flighty business at some of these venues, and they're the ones getting all your information, taking all your money, doing all these things, and they get new ones all the time. Like they just get moved around. I don't know why. It could be because they're like, oh, you're not selling enough. You're not bringing enough people in here that like you, whatever it is. Because it's likability. Do you get along with these people? That also goes into it. Because sometimes it could be in a fabulous wedding venue, but you're like, oh, they had a stank attitude, or they were not professional, or they were in the restroom for like 30 minutes and we were just sitting there waiting for them. You don't know. You know how it is when you meet people. So there's different things that go through your mind and you're like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know about this," right? I don't know about this. And so you want to keep that in mind and not look over those things. So you do want to see, do they have a high turnover, or have these people been here for a long time? Even if somebody has been a part of something for a long time, it doesn't mean it's necessarily the right fit for you. So you still have to use good judgment on that. Okay. Number 10, who runs this business? Who is the owner? I know that's a question that they may not be excited to answer or even think that somebody would ask, but it's important to ask. Things could go very wrong, you guys. There has been a lot of things that are happening with venues as of late. I want to encourage you to do some research on your venue, please, that you're considering. I know we get so excited and we're so happy we're engaged. Where are we right now? Season 2, episode 16. Did I have us running out to get our wedding venue as soon as we got engaged? No. There were a lot of episodes prior to this one that helped to prepare us before we even got to this day, and other things that we needed to be doing on the back end before getting to the wedding venue. Okay. So I just want you to know you have to take this very, very seriously. And no, we're not done. We don't just have 10 questions, but those are the first 10 that you could ask over the phone prior to venue shopping. Now, grab your notebook, grab your pen, grab your purse. We're really leaving the house now. We're about to go venue shopping. You've got your numbers with you, you've got your date with you, and you have your vision with you. Okay. So you have ideas of what you want and what you're looking for. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Are you in the car? Don't be in the car listening to this unless you're just listening, you're not taking notes right now. First, you need to take the notes and then you can get in the car. Then you can get in the car. All right, here's your Q&A venue questions when you're shopping in person. The other ones you can ask ahead of time, but if you don't get to ask them ahead of time, feel free to bring those with you too and ask while you're there. Number 11, we're just continuing on. What is included? How long do I have to make a decision um, to get my date put on the books? Like, how long do I have? Because sometimes they'll be like, in order to get that price, you need to book within 2 weeks. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. They're just bullying you to hurry up. So that's why I said take your time with venue shopping. You don't need to go out right away. Really think about it, because if you went as soon as you got engaged the next day and like you're not really ready to book your venue, you haven't had the budget talk about money with your parents and your in-laws, you've done nothing. So you have to lead up to this, and that's what we did. We led up to this so that you would be prepared, okay? Because they could throw that out at you. Oh, you only have 2 weeks. And it's like, well, we just went and saw it today. That's messed up. So also, you're asking what is included in that price. You want them to verify again what all is included, because if you're not getting anything but chairs and a room and a floor, or whatever the venue space is, maybe it's not walls, maybe it's a different, maybe you've got like some form of a forest or something, or something like that they own, and all you're getting are the chairs and That's about it. You're not getting an arch, you're not getting decorations, you're not getting food, you're not getting catering, beverages, all the good things, right? You're not getting a DJ, you're not getting any of your vendors in that package. Then you've got to see, does that really fit with your budget? Maybe it does. A lot of people do want a blank canvas because they're like, I can do whatever I want with this space, and I can hire whichever vendors I want, and I don't have to be stressed with theirs. I get to break down all those costs on my own. If you want to do that, please know, don't go get an expensive venue, because you will have hardly no money left for all the vendors and everything. It adds up. It adds up. Okay. So the next one is going to be number 12. How decorated is the venue already? So look around. Really, really, really look at how decorated this venue is right now on this tour. Is it just 4 white walls? Is it just trees? I mean, that's really beautiful. Is it just the beach? Another gorgeous setting. You know, really, really look around, because if it's just 4 walls, you're gonna have to decorate a lot. You're gonna decorate a lot, okay? And if they aren't decorating for you and it's not included in that price, you've got to add that on there. But hopefully the venue is pretty decorated. It looks really, really awesome already, and you don't have to add too much to it. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's the goal. Because decorations can be very expensive and very time consuming. Very. Okay. So just look at what they're showing you. Look at what they're showing you. Like I said, if it's just a blank canvas, a ballroom, they're going to provide the chairs and the tables, then you got a lot of work to do. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But are you able to plan, and do you know what to do in order to make this happen, in order to make this your dream come true? Okay. There's not a lot you have to do to make a space look fabulous. I just want you guys to know that. There's really not a lot you have to do. Remember, we talk about, you decorate the walls with something, you have a backdrop up there as well for pictures, photo op. Then you're going to make sure that your chairs are decorated, your floors are decorated as well. You don't want to leave those out. So, and then you got your signage and all that good stuff. Number 13, how much of your own decor can you bring? So how much of your own decor can you bring when it comes to the wedding, right? The wedding ceremony and the wedding reception. Are they allowing you to bring any decor at all? There are venues that won't allow you to bring decor. So it may sound like a silly question to you right now, but trust me, it's not. It's not a silly question, because a lot of them won't allow you to bring your decorations. We're talking about wedding venues. Remember that, okay? And most of them won't allow you to do that. They are like, no, you can't. And they don't even give you an answer. It's just no. So also ask about like when you leave the procession. So the procession that leads back out, like when you're done with the wedding ceremony, some people like to throw rice. Some people like to throw rose petals, whatever it might be. Sometimes the birds will eat these, and you know the rest. It's not a good thing. So you want to ask them, hey, do I have to have real flowers and roses, or can I use artificial ones if they're allowing you to bring your own stuff? Can we throw actual rice? Just get their take on this. They're going to know what I'm talking about. It's the procession going out of the ceremony, and people are going to want to throw things or whatever. And nowadays you don't see people throwing anything because these people freak out. Also, when the flower girl goes down the aisle, you want to ask, okay, does she have to use real rose petals or real flowers, or can we use artificial ones? Okay. And if so, are they providing either one of those in this price that they're going to be giving you? You want to ask about everything that's included in the price. What is it? What am I getting? Okay. Number 15. Can you book your own vendors, planner and day of coordinator? Can you book your own people for catering, for DJ, all that stuff? Or are they going to give you their like 3 people list of each of those and tell you can choose from these 3? You guys know that we did a whole thing on this before already, and I talked about how that could go very, very wrong. Okay. We're not going to go back into that today. So you need to go back and watch the video. All right. Where are we at? Number 16. Do vendors need insurance? This is a great one. So if they are going to allow you to have your own vendors, do my own vendors individually need to have insurance? Okay. And I believe I have that on here for us to, as the couples. But if I don't, just in case, also ask them, do the wedding couple need to have wedding insurance? Okay. How does cancellations work for weather, etc.? So things like the weather, things like you could have a death in your family, something could go wrong. Okay. Something can go wrong and you may need to cancel for whatever reason. Okay. I don't like to talk about that other reason because hopefully that's not the case for any of the people that are watching my videos. Okay. We're talking about happy lives over here. So, how does cancellations work? You want to ask them this because you may have to get your money back. And maybe they say no refunds. Do you want to go with a venue that's going to keep your money due to the weather, due to a death in the family? Do you want to go with that venue? You got to really ask yourself. That's why it's like questions and answers, but you're also asking yourself, am I okay with these things? Okay. Number 18, does the couple need wedding insurance? So I did have it on here. Does the couple need wedding insurance? And then number 19, what does the wedding insurance cover? So does the insurance cover all kinds of disasters that could happen at the wedding day and things like that, and things if we need to cancel, does it cover that? Like just talk to them, because do you need their wedding insurance or can you go out and get your own? Good questions. Good questions. Number 20, can we get our deposit back? We did talk about this one in our first steps, our initial questions. Number 21, when is the final payment due? Okay. You want to also have a backup venue. And the reason why I say this and why I put it in here with number 21 about when is the final payment due, there has been very, very inclement weather going on all around our world, everywhere. People are in disasters and they felt like, oh, I live in a place where it never has bad weather. We never have disasters. Never say never. That's first of all. Bad weather can happen anywhere. You don't control it. And number two, it could happen to you. So what are you doing to prepare for it? Okay. Ask them about final payment due. And are you held for that if your wedding doesn't take place? Now, obviously, this should be no, of course not. Your wedding didn't take place. So we can't, we can't go steal the money from your account. But you still want to ask them and you want to make sure you get all these things in writing, guys, all of it in writing and signed by the owner and that planner that took your information. Okay, both. Number 22, can I take home the leftover food and flowers? Can I take home my leftover food and flowers? You're going to be paying out the wazoo thousands of dollars for food, like a plate per each person. It's going to cost you money, $100, $200, $300 per person. Okay. You don't want no food left behind, because guess who's going to have it? Guess who's going to eat it? They're not. The caterers are going to eat your expensive plate of food and they're going to enjoy every minute of it. Okay. And so you need to make sure that you ask them, can we take our leftovers with us? Our leftover food and our leftover flowers. I put food, I'm going to add flowers because I know that that's a big one that people are leaving behind. And then everybody else gets your flowers, the vendors, all the wedding planner, the day of coordinator, the people who brought the flowers, like everyone else is getting your stuff. And like, if you're okay with that, like you're all right with spending thousands or hundreds, whatever it is you spent, and leaving it for everybody else, that's fine. That's fine if that's how you feel. But your family could have that stuff. Give it to your family. Give it to the people that are staying in town that might be okay with having some extra hot meals in their hotel and don't have to go out and pay for them. And it's some good food. Y'all know wedding food be good most of the time. I mean, really, really good. These venues most of the time do a really, really great job. Okay. Now, some of the venues that I said are like more of the blank canvas. You'll have more of like the families cooking the food. And so that's different. They're not going to be worried about keeping your food. The venues aren't going to keep your food. But these venues that are requiring you to use their caterers and stuff, a lot of times they'll say, oh, it's a health hazard for you to take the food. What are you talking about? If I ordered 75 plates and only 60 people showed, I'm not trying to feed 15 of your staff that were only here for like an hour or two. Like, that's not cool. I mean, obviously, I'm going to give it to the photographer and the content creator who's been here over 5 hours if they were booked for that long. But if they're not booked for over 5 hours and they were only booked for under a 4-hour day, I don't owe them a vendor meal. So those 15 plates that you have back there, as well as all of my cake, guys, please understand, you are buying tiered cakes from these venues, and the bottom part is all fake. It's not even real. And then the next layer is mostly fake. It's not even real. And they tell you to cut a little slither on that like second layer. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys, because it's like second and third and fourth, and sometimes you might have a tiny little one for the fifth. You might, or that fifth one that tiny little one might be the fourth. Y'all know what I'm saying? And so what they do is they have you cut in exactly the spot where they've already know where the fake piece is. And it's like, are you serious right now? This is awful. So you need to ask about that. You need to ask these questions about the cake as well. I just threw that one in there. That wasn't even on my notes, but I did remember when it came to the food for you to ask that. Let me just add that over here. And cake. Guys, it's serious. It gets serious. I told you, wedding planning is not a joke, but we do have fun. We do have fun. It is memorable and it is exciting, but we do have to keep it. We have to keep it serious, okay? Because a lot of things happen, and people be so sad, and it's because they're not doing enough planning on their own. They're trusting these planners to tell them everything, and they don't. These planners don't tell you all that you need to know, okay? They don't. All right. Number 23, is there a kitchen sink and some hard water? Why am I asking that question? Some hot water, not hard water, some hot water. Why am I asking this question? Because I have gone to weddings and I've seen people wash the silverware and plates and the cutting knife for the cake in the restroom. Oh my goodness, you don't want that to be you. You don't want that to be you. So you need to look around. You need to be like, oh, we're at this park. So where are they going to wash the utensils? See if they dropped something. Say if the utensils came and they weren't all clean from where they got the utensils from. How are they going to wash them? How are they going to clean them? How are they going to wipe them down with a towel and they ain't got no towels? Gotta ask these questions, guys, because they'll be cleaning your stuff in the bathroom and you don't even know. When I saw that, I literally like threw up. I was like, this is so nasty. Like, this is so gross. And so you don't want that to be you. Ask them, do they have a kitchen with a sink and hot water? And then ask them if you can see it, because they'll say, yeah, just to get your money and get your deposit, and they don't have anything there. So especially if you're on location, you may not have these things, right? And when I say on location, I mean like in a park, in a, a forest, on the beach, or whatever it might be. Most of the times receptions for the beaches are like indoors. They're attached to a hotel or something like that. They're attached to a venue. So you should feel pretty safe with that. But sometimes like these parks and stuff, these like very, really pretty parks, that's where I saw it at. I saw it at a really gorgeous park in the city. And no, I'm not going to say the name. I'm not going to say the name. But that wedding planner knew that there was nothing there for cleaning, and they didn't care. They didn't care because they're nasty. They nasty. Okay. And hopefully you're not nasty too. And so hopefully you care about disease and stuff like that, because that's gross. That is gross. All right, guys, I'm getting off on a huge tangent on that. Number 24, what are the hidden costs? So there could be hidden costs that they are not mentioning to you on this tour. You want to ask them during the tour, hey, this is great. So like, what are the hidden costs? What are the things that I can't see or that aren't on this price sheet or whatever that you gave me? And they'll tell you. They will tell you the add-ons or the hidden things, hidden fees that aren't on there. Okay, but you need to ask before you give them some money, before you put a deposit down. Number 25, what's my total? Now, they may not be able to give you this, but they will be able to give you like the basic foundation prices, but it doesn't hurt. Maybe they can. Maybe they could give you a total today. So it doesn't hurt to just ask them, hey, what's my total? What would my total be if I booked this venue? Number 26, do I have to have a wedding planner? Most venues these days are going to require you to have a wedding planner, whether it be the ones that work with them or your own. They're going to require this. They don't want a disaster wedding. They don't want things to go completely wrong. And you may be a DIY bride. And that's why I took a deep breath. You may be a DIY bride and they might not consider you a wedding planner, but you are. You are. You just need to find the right venue that fits with you. I know everybody wants these fancy schmancy venues, but we have to be on guard, guys. Why are people giving them $30, $40, $50,000 and they barely get anything on the day of their wedding? They barely get anything, and their food is being left behind. Their flowers are being left behind. The planners didn't do what they were supposed to do. Why are people giving us so much money? Okay. All right. All right. What does the wedding planner, day of coordinator, actually provide? If you guys remember, we did an episode, a really great episode here in season 2, and it was titled DIY Bride versus the Wedding Planner. The next episode was Day of Coordinator and why every type of bride needs this. Watch both of those videos to understand number 26 when I say, what does the wedding planner, day of coordinator provide? What are they providing? You need to know. Are they providing the things that I talked about in those episodes? They need to be able to verbalize this to you on what they're providing. At the very least, that it's already written out in a document and you can hold them accountable. Ask them, hey, if they don't provide these things, do I get some of my money back? They're going to say no. They're not going to want to work with you because you're asking too many questions. But does that matter to you? You need to be ready. Okay. All right. Number 27. We're going to keep going. Can I see a mock-up decor setup? So ask them, like, maybe prior to coming, hey, do you have a room that's already set up that I would be able to look at while I'm there on like how you guys would be decorating the facilities? Okay. Ask them what that would look like. If they've got pictures, that's fine. But it would be better if you could see it and touch things, go out and like see it in the space and then be able to touch like the napkins, the linen, maybe not the napkins because people have to use those, but the linen tablecloths, and see the chairs. Are they just those white folding chairs? Things like that. There are some really fancy white folding chairs, obviously, for the ceremony, but you don't want them to be using just those regular old schmegular old folding chairs that you see at most like church fellowship halls. Don't you guys know what I'm talking about? And you don't want to be using those like for your wedding day unless you're planning on really decorating those, or they're planning on really decorating those, because those are just awful. Those are awful. Those are not cute. I mean, but if that's all you have, that's all you have, if you're keeping it simple. Number 28, are you providing any signage? This is a great question. What I have seen is that most brides and grooms, no matter if the venue is saying, oh, it's all inclusive, full service, all the vendors are here, guess what they don't include? Signage. So you want to be asking about signage, okay? Now, if you're going to be providing your own signage, totally fine. You don't want to forget to put signs, and I'm going to add this on here. You don't want to forget to put signs on the food table as well, because people forget this a lot and they don't label the food, and it drives me insane. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. You know why? Because people have lots of food allergies, and it's not our fault. It's no one's fault except for you know who. And so they've done this, and now we have all these allergies, and now we can't go anywhere without knowing what's in the food or what is that. And sometimes you can't eat meat, and then things be looking like meat, but then it's not meat. Maybe it's some olives in there. I don't know. The point is that people need to say, okay, this is a Caesar salad with chicken, or just put Caesar salad. You see what I'm saying? You keep it simple and make the signs big. Make the food signs big. Don't make those tiny little food signs where people have to keep picking up the little sign. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? And if it's going to be like served, like they're going to serve it to you, a lot of times those people don't talk. I don't know what their deal is, but they take your plate or whatever, and then like you'll be like, oh, like what's that, instead of them just saying, hey, this is such and such, these are peas or whatever. They don't do that. They just stand there, and that's fine. So then that's why you need to have some signs. You need to have some food signs. Okay, very important. Number 28. Oh, that was number 28. Number 29, are chargers included? The chargers are those bigger plates that go on the table in order for the food to like stay a little bit warmer. So you put those on there, and also it helps to not so that the table doesn't mess up, right? So just ask them if they're providing chargers. They do actually look really, really nice. So just ask them if they are going to be providing chargers as well. Number 30, ask them about the cleanup, the setup, the breakdown of that. So if you are going to have a venue that's like, okay, you guys are allowed to come and set up and bring your own decor, you can do that the night before, the day before, when you're doing your rehearsal. Maybe they don't have a wedding that day. That day before. So they're like, yeah, you guys can just do that then. Or maybe they do have a wedding that day, and they're like, nope, it's going to have to wait on the morning of your wedding in order for you to do that. Also ask them when they're going to be doing the setup, if they're the ones that are doing the setup and not you. Like if they're the ones doing it, then how does your stuff get incorporated in with their stuff if they're allowing you to bring decor? Usually they're going to say it's going to have to be brought the morning of. And if that's the case, if that is the case, these are going to be duties that you're going to provide to your bridesmaids and your groomsmen. Brides and grooms, I don't want you guys trying to lug all this stuff and trying to bring all this stuff on the morning of your wedding, as well as getting you and your tuxedo and your gown to the venue. No. So have your bridesmaids, they should already be dressed and covered in a robe so they don't mess up their dresses. And that way they can be the ones to go and hand those things to the day of coordinator, okay? When everybody arrives by vehicle. Number 31, the officiant. Let's say that, okay, so this is your wedding officiant. This is the person that's going to officiate your wedding. Are you allowed to have your own, or do you have to go through theirs? Okay. Ask them about the rules if you go on your own. What kind of license do they need to have? Can they be an online certificate receiver, or do they have to have something from that state in person, like a paper from them? You want to ask that question because you don't want to get there the day of and your officiant is not allowed to marry you, or that it wasn't even a real marriage. It wasn't a real ceremony, official legally. So you don't want that to happen. Okay. You don't want that to happen. So it's important to ask that question about the officiant. Number 32, candles. Can I bring my own candles? Can they be real, or do they have to be fake? Some venues don't allow you to have real candles. So you do need to ask this, because everybody loves having candles at their wedding. And most people, no matter who you are, will have some form of candles. So ask them, do they have to be a certain height? Do they have to be in those glass vodices? All kinds of things, okay? Ask them about candles. They will talk your head off and let you know what you can and can't do. Or if they are providing candles, ask them if they're real or ask them if they're fake. You just want, it's your wedding. It's your wedding. It's not fair that these venues get to take over and plan your whole vision for you. You guys see, I have a big issue with this. Okay. Next question, number 32. The media. Do they need to have insurance? do they need to have insurance and a license? So anyone that's doing photography, videography, or even content creation, do they need to have a license or insurance? Ask the venue if that's the case for them. Number 34, is rehearsal included in the all-inclusive venues? So ask them if rehearsal is included, or do you have to pay them extra to come out and have your rehearsal the day before? Remember, guys, it's important to have that rehearsal. There are some people who've never walked down an aisle, and they need to get that pacing because people will rush that, and they need to get that pacing of like going slow. So actually have them do that. I've seen too many people come on the day of, and they didn't really rehearse the day before. They just watched everybody else do it, or they just kind of quickly ran down the aisle. They're going to do the same thing on your wedding day, and you don't want that. If you're walking with somebody down the aisle, like your father or your brother, make sure, or even your mother, some people walk with their mother, make sure that you guys practice walking together side by side, okay? And which side do you want to be on? Which side are they going to be on? Things like that. If you're walking by yourself, you're still going to practice walking down the aisle. Gentlemen, my grooms, I hope that you've been in here listening to all this the whole time, because obviously you were going to be going venue shopping with your bride. It's your wedding day too. Grooms, listen up. Sometimes you're going to be walking out by yourself without the bridesmaids, and that's fine. You're also going to do your practice walk, okay? Sometimes you guys all come out together. Sometimes you guys will come out individually. Ask the groom what he would prefer, and ask the bride what she would prefer. It's really, really up to them, okay? The other thing is, groom, most of the time you will be coming out by yourself after you've walked your mom and your grandmother. So you will walk them individually, or if you want, you can walk them together. It's up to you. And then you will walk out. Okay. So just make sure that you're asking about rehearsal, and we'll go over that stuff again later if anybody's still lost on rehearsal. Okay. Number 35, is rehearsal dinner included? You guys see, I choked up on that question because most venues are not going to include rehearsal dinner food in with even the all-inclusive venues. So you will have to go and figure out, am I doing a rehearsal dinner and things like that. We'll be talking about who pays for that and all that good stuff in our budget binder later when we get down to it. But you do want to ask them, is it included? It doesn't hurt to ask, because it could be included and you just didn't even know. You just didn't even know. But most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, it's not. So it's just something for you to be thinking about, but still ask. Number 36, food tastings, cake tastings. Are they included in the all-inclusive venues? I ask this because it's kind of daunting to me that people charge so much money, but yet there's no more food tastings and no more beverage tastings. There's no more cake tastings. They're all out the window. They're now part of those hidden costs, those extra fees. Like, why would you? It just seems kind of weird to me that, like, you're already getting all this money from them and you can't provide the couple with the foods and the appetizers that are going to be served on the day of the wedding. I don't know. I find it weird. I find it strange. Along with this, I would also ask about appetizers doing the mocktail hour. I would ask if those are included, because what I've noticed is that most people don't even have them because they weren't included at all. Number 37, parking fees, or is there a free parking garage? Is there a close place to park? Because people will be in their nice heels and their nice dress shoes, and we don't really want them walking really far in order to get to the venue. So ask them about parking. Ask them what does that look like at your venue. I want everybody to know that a lot of the questions that I went over, the planner, the person that shows you around, is usually the planner of that venue. They are going to go over a lot of these things prior, like during the walkthrough or prior to taking the tour. Sometimes they'll talk about it after. Regardless, they might not go over every single question that I had in there. And so that's why we did this. That's why we went over this, okay? It's to benefit and to help you. It's to benefit and to help you. What is going into our budget binder today? Nothing. Unless you went ahead and booked that venue, nothing is going in there today. All right. And who is paying for the venue? Traditionally, it is the parents of the bride. That is who traditionally pays for it. You and your family will decide on who's paying for your wedding venue when it comes to the ceremony and the reception, the actual wedding day. Who's footing that bill for the venue space and all those vendors, the catering, the food, the beverages, the cake, the music, all the things that are going to be involved, the flowers and the decor. That's usually on the parents of the bride-to-be, okay? You guys, we're at our next segment, which is Be My Guest. Oh my gosh, I love this segment. Be My Guest. If you have gone venue shopping before, if you are about to go venue shopping, I would love to have you here as a guest on your wedding series. This podcast is all for you guys. So I want you to be able to share your story with others that are also wedding venue shopping, who just love weddings, people who may have weddings coming up soon. It's a chance for you to get to have a time to talk and to be interviewed by me on some of these questions that are hard hitting. And how did it feel asking these questions to the wedding venues? Like, how did it feel? How did it go when you were talking to them? Did it go well? Were they okay? Were they giving you the side eye? Or were they like, no, that's a really good question? And you could just feel the goodness. You could just feel the amazingness from these people, okay? The professionalism, the great customer service, all the good stuff. I want to hear about it, the ups and the downs, the goods and the bads. We keep it real over here on this podcast. So if you got a story to tell when it came to wedding venue shopping, reach out to me so that we can do a video call together. We can do a video call together, and then I will upload it and share it right here on your wedding series podcast. The way to do that is, first, you've got to send me an email so we can get the conversation going, and then we will set up our interview time and we will record it for the podcast, okay? You're going to send me an email at yourweddingseries at no, that's not the email. You're going to send me an email at yourcontentcreator@yahoo.com. And guess what, lovebirds? I'm going to see you in the next episode, because we're already at the very end of this episode. So I will see you, lovebirds, in the next one. Bye, lovebirds.